Welcome back, YouTube, to another weekly preview. We are going to be deep diving into week 6 of fantasy hockey, giving you the best possible streamers, goaltenders, defensemen, everything you need to know in order to min-max your way to winning your fantasy hockey week. You guys know the drill by now. Let's get right into the video. Before we get started, guys, just a reminder, we do have in-season player projections and tools for you guys if you guys are having a tough start to the year. The link will be in the description down below. Go check out our Patreon as well. Everything will be available at fantasypuck.net. Starting us off, we know that the regular off-night schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. That's pretty much how it is throughout majority of the NHL season, so that's what we're looking at for this week. Vegas is by far the best option going into next week. 4 games, all off nights. So if you have a Vegas player, this is a huge week for you. If you need to stream somebody, you're always looking at Vegas players first before anybody else. And then a handful of teams have, again, a really good schedule, like the Preds, the Pens, and the Canes all have 4 games, 3 off nights. And then there is a few teams that have 4 games on the week, but with 1 off night, which are the Kraken, the Blues, and the Canucks. For your max games for the week, you are going to add a Vegas Golden Knights or a Pittsburgh Penguin to start off your week on the Monday. You're actually going to hold them until Friday because you're going to get 3 off nights essentially, and then you're going to add and drop somebody on the Friday from those 2 teams that you picked up originally earlier in the week, and then stream somebody from the Canes, the Kraken, the Blues, and the Canucks. These are going to get you essentially 5 games on the week with 4 off nights. All of those teams on the latter half play a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, and so essentially you get 5 games on the week with 4 off nights. So that is the best schedule for those of you that are limited in terms of your ads throughout the week. Moving on to the worst schedule, very typical, again, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays are busy nights in the NHL. We have the Wild, the Blackhawks, the Lightning, and then Anaheim and Utah actually both have 2 games, both off nights. So if you have players on those teams, you could definitely hold on to them if they're playing off nights for you. You don't necessarily have to drop unless you're, like I said, they're droppable players. But again, same thing with the Wild, the Blackhawks, and the Lightning. If you have players on these teams that you can't afford to drop that are not elite players, go ahead and do that because, again, you're getting 2 games, 0 off nights for them for this upcoming week. So like I said at the beginning, we need to absolutely prioritize Vegas Golden Knight players, and number 1 on my list is Pavel Dorofeyev. He has a great shot volume, like one of the better shot volumes in the league currently, and he's scoring at a really high clip. They've recently bumped him down to line 2 power play 1. I don't think that really has affected him at all. He's still continuing to score, still continuing to shoot, and still getting power play 1 time. Rickard Rakell, another great option, really hot start. He's been kind of moved up and down the lineup, but is a mainstay on line 1 and power play 1. They've kind of changed that top line. They had Malkin up there last week alongside Crosby. They've recently kind of moved it around with Brian Rust coming back into the fold, but Rakell staying on line 1, power play 1, great shot volume, continues to produce, and he'll get you hits as well. So great option going into this week for sure with 3 off nights. And then Ryan O'Reilly, again, 3 off nights, 1 busy night, has been great. Line 1, power play 1. You get exposure to that top line in Nashville, and they're starting to click. Like their power play last game, they had a couple power play goals, so they might be coming around. They just recently beat Utah. I believe it was 4-0 on the Saturday. That just happened last night. But Ryan O'Reilly will continue to be good. He's got line 1, power play 1 exposure. You want that. He's probably your number 1 option on the Preds. Jack Rosselblick has been really hot out of the gate, so definitely capitalize on that, especially at 11% owned. He should be available in some really deep leagues. Again, 4 games, 3 off nights. Fantastic schedule for the week. Center right wing eligible. You can fit him in your lineup. He's really hot in terms of his goal scoring right now. Shot volume's pretty decent as well. So another really good option. Line 1, power play 2. You're getting line 1 exposure to Sebastian Aho. It's great. He's a good stream for the week. And then Nicholas Roy, because of Mark Stone getting injured again, shocker. If you guys checked out my last video, you would have seen that, Mark Stone is definitely a sell high right now because of his injury concerns, and lo and behold, he is day-to-day going forward. So they moved up Nicholas Roy onto that top line. Line 1, power play 1, great exposure right now with Nicholas Roy. 3% owned. Everybody should be grabbing this guy going into next week if he continues to stay on line 1, power play 1. We don't know the extent of Mark Stone's injury right now. Vegas is very good at keeping things under wraps in terms of injuries. So with Waugh, I'm picking him up regardless if he stays on line one or not, or power play one or not. He should still be a decent stream given his peripherals and the fact that he's scoring. Moving on to our other forward streams, William Karlsson has been really good in terms of his point production, but his peripherals kind of lack, which is why he wasn't necessarily a priority ad for me for this week. He's a great option, obviously 4 games all off nights. He should technically be a priority ad, but again, if he's not scoring, he's kind of a dud in a little bit of a sense, just because of the fact that his peripherals aren't great, his shot volume's not great, but he has been producing and he has been around a point a game. You're also getting a guy on line 3 and power play 2. I want to say like Vegas kind of meshes their second and third line in terms of ice time. Like it's more like a line 2B, a line 2A type situation where they just play a lot of them. And William Karlsson has been great. Like I said, as of late, he's around a point a game right now, chips in the assist category a lot. And you get power play exposure on that second line, which we know Vegas kind of likes to split up their power plays. So again, a good option for the week, but he's 36% owned. Not a priority stream for me, but again, a really, really good option, given the fact that he plays 4 games for off nights. It's very Kotkaniemi, again, hasn't been great by any means, but he does have 8 points on the year. His shot volume isn't fantastic, but it's not terrible. He'll chip in a couple shots here and there, and you're getting exposure to one of the hottest guys in hockey right now in Martin Necas on that second line for Carolina. He also plays power play 2 on top of that. 4 games, 3 off nights. Good option for you, especially in deeper leagues. Gustav Nyquist, very similar situation. Get top line exposure. You get power play 2 time. Skating alongside Philip Forsberg and Ryan O'Reilly, so you get that top line exposure in Nashville, but you do get power play 2 time, and again, he hasn't been overly good like we saw out of him last year when that top line was clicking, but he's good enough to where you should be able to stream him next week and have some good production out of him. And then Brian Bruss is back into the fold for Pittsburgh off of injury, 41% owned. If he's available, I highly recommend you pick him up. He should skate alongside Malkin, and I believe it's Bunting on line 2 now, and get power play 1 exposure on top of that. 4 really good options for you guys. We are in dire depths in terms of defenseman stream for this week. Like it's bad, guys. Like I have Colton Parayko and Riker Evans on here who only get 1 off night, but there's just nobody. Like this is why we emphasize drafting good defensemen, simply because you won't be able to stream good guys. But Brayden McNabb is a great option for this week in terms of shots, hits, and blocks. He's one of the better hits and block combo meal guys in the league. Fantastic, good option for you guys. Doesn't get any power play exposure, but should get you a pretty solid floor if you're just looking to add or stream a defenseman for the week. 4 games, 4 off nights, great option. Matt Grzelcyk was power play 1 in Pittsburgh last game. I don't know what's happening. They've split up the power play so that Letang and Erik Karlsson, are both on power play 2. I don't know if that's going to continue, so that's why I put a little asterisk beside Matt Grzelcyk there. But if he is skating on power play 1 like we saw last game, I think he's a good stream option for this week at 1% owned, especially in deeper leagues, given the schedule especially. So pair 1, he does skate alongside Chris Letang at 5-on-5. He's been pretty decent in terms of his production as of late. Decent enough shot volume, block volume. So again, if he's on power play 1, that's great. If not, I still think he's a feasible stream option for deeper leagues. Colton Parayko, pair 1, power play 1, an absolute block machine. He's been producing at a really good rate as well this year in terms of his point totals. So he's a great option. As you can see, at 54% owned, if he's available, definitely stream him this week. I like him a lot. He should be rostered in the majority of leagues. Dmitry Orlov doesn't get any power play exposure, but he's been really good offensively as of late as well. If you go look at his game log, a ton of points in his last 5, 7, 10 games. Good schedule on the week, 3 off nights. So you do get some exposure to a guy that plays over 20 minutes, that shoots the puck, that blocks, and has been good offensively lately as well. And the Riker Evans, same situation. As long as Vince Dunn's out, I think he's a decent enough option where you get some power play exposure on that second pair. Especially because we know that Seattle likes to split up their power plays. And if you're in a deeper league and you need to stream a defenseman this week that gets 4 games, he's a good option at 13% owned, but very thin in terms of defenseman streaming for this week. And if you thought the defenseman streaming was thin, there is not a lot of great goalie options going into this week as well. Tristan Jarry is back up in Pittsburgh. None of the Pittsburgh goalies have really been great. I know Bloomquist has had a couple good games here and there, but I'm expecting they want to get Jarry back into the fold. Bloomquist did have a really good game recently, so I'm assuming he gets the start on Monday, but I'm expecting they're going to play Jarry at some point in the week, whether that's November 13th against Detroit or November 15th against Columbus. They're both off nights. He's been really good in the AHL. I know that doesn't really mean anything, and he hasn't been good in the NHL to start the year as well. So just something to keep an eye on, but if he does have a good game against one of these two teams, I would expect him to get more volume going forward, and he is only 10% owned. I have a combo of Ville Husso and Alex Lyon. Alex Lyon is day to day right now. I'm expecting he's going to get the nod if he's good to go against the Ducks on the 15th. Talbot has been really good for Detroit recently, and he's definitely the starter right now, but they did just bring up Husso given the fact that Lyon was injured. So if Lyon's injury continues, expect Husso to get the start against Anaheim. This is a pretty good matchup for Detroit. Like, you're playing one of the worst teams in the NHL on an off night, so good goalie stream there. Arthur Sheilov should get the nod against Chicago on a start of a back-to-back against the weaker team in Chicago. So again, Lankinen's been their go-to guy. We still don't know what's happening with Thatcher Demko. There hasn't been a lot of updates. Not looking good in that sense. So Sheilovs will continue to be the kind of backup essentially for Vancouver going forward, given how good Lankinen's been with them. So we should get the easier matchup on the back-to-back at the start on the 16th of November against Chicago. And then Jonathan Quick, similar situation. They don't have a back-to-back. They have a weird schedule this week. I wouldn't be surprised if they just start Igor outright throughout the entire week, because they have, especially like when it's not a back-to-back, Quick doesn't really play, but sometimes he gets matchups against weaker opponents. So if they want to keep him fresh, he should get the matchup against San Jose on the 14th. That will do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button and that like button if you enjoyed the content. Good luck in your Week 6 matchups for fantasy hockey.